Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are settling into what might be the greatest, most persistent debate in all of sports.
Oh, it has to be.
Who is the golf goatee? Is it Jack Nicklaus, the king of longevity with, 18 majors?
You mean, yeah. Or is it Tiger Woods, who is just the definition of pure era-defining dominance?
It's the ultimate comparison, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're weighing two completely different things.
Exactly. Nicklaus's case is built on decades of being right there at the top.
Mm.
Woods' case is built on this absolute statistical superiority during his peak.
And the usual arguments, they just hit a wall. People just count the major wins back and forth.
And it goes nowhere.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to move completely past those simple counts. We're going to bring a totally quantitative lens to the problem.
Right.
We are diving into these incredibly sophisticated performance metrics, mostly the strokes gain system, using data from millions and millions of pro golf shots.
We want to see what the data actually says separates the best from the rest, and then use that to look at these two legends.
We're looking for the objective truth in the numbers. What skills really matter, and just how much better was Tiger?
Let's find out.
Okay, let's get into the metric that really just changed everything.
Oh.
The strokes gain analysis. For decades, traditional golf stats were, our sources call them crude counting measures, which feels right.
They were almost useless for any real insight. Take a stat like fairways hit.
Right.
If you miss the fairway by 6 inches with a perfect lie, that counts the same as blasting it 60 yards offline behind a tree.
Or what about sand saves?
That's another perfect one. It mixes two totally different skills.
The bunker shot itself, and then making the putt after.
Exactly. It fails to isolate the actual skill.
So the PGA Tour, using its shot link data, we're talking over 8 million shots recorded between 2003 and 2010. They introduced strokes gained. What's the big idea here? What's the conceptual shift?
The shift is measuring the contribution of every single shot to your score, but relative to the average pro.
Okay, so it's all about a benchmark.
It's all about the benchmark. So the system knows the average number of strokes a PGA Tour pro takes to finish a hole from any exact spot on the course.
So let's say you're 100 yards out in the fairway. The data says the average pro takes, 2.9 strokes to get in the hole from there?
Exactly, 2.9. Now, you hit a fantastic shot. You stick it to 1 foot from the cup.
Okay.
From that new spot, the average strokes to finish is just 1.0.
So you've improved your position by 1.9 strokes.
Precisely. But you took 1 shot to do it, so you subtract that 1 shot you took, and your net strokes gained is plus 0.9.
I see. That immediately shows the real value of that single shot, not just whether you hit the green.
And this is where the genius of the system comes in. It's called the additivity property.
Which means?
It means the total strokes gained for your entire round is just the sum of the strokes gained on every individual shot.
So you can perfectly separate everything. You can measure putting all by itself, driving all by itself.
Without one skill muddling the stats for another, it was a revolution.
And once they started running the numbers on all those millions of shots, they found something that just flew directly in the face of what everyone believed about golf.
It was a massive revelation. For years, the whole story, pushed by guys like Dave Pelz, was that the short game is everything.
Right. Drive for show, putt for dough.
Exactly. Pelz even claims something like 80% of lost shots happen inside 100 yards.
But the data, the actual performance data from the tour, tells a completely different story.
A dramatically different story. It shows the short game's importance, at least for the pros, is vastly overstated.
So what is the core data point?
The core data point is this. Long game shots. So that's anything starting over 100 yards from the hole.
Okay.
They explain about 2/3 or 72% of the score variability among pros.
72%.
Yep. If you want to know who's best, you look at their long game first.
That is just a staggering difference between perception and reality. And this isn't just for the field as a whole, is it? It holds true for the very best and the very worst players.
Absolutely.
Oh.
When they looked at the top 10 golfers from that 2003 to 2010 period, 65% of their advantage came from the long game.
And for the guys at the bottom.
For the bottom 10 golfers, a massive 71% of the strokes they were losing to the field came from
The long game.
the long game. It is clearly the skill that creates separation at the highest level.
But even with that focus on the long game, the data gave us some Some fascinating little details about the short game, too.
Oh, it did. It got so specific. Like, it could tell you exactly when being in the sand is better than being in the rough.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It found that pros would only rather be in the sand in this tiny window between 15 and 34 yards from the hole. Any closer or farther than that, the rough is actually easier.
That level of detail is just incredible.
And I think the recovery shot category is a great example of that depth.
This is when you're totally blocked out, right?
Yeah.
Behind a tree or something.
Exactly. Your path is obstructed. And the old stats just miss this completely. But being in one of those recovery spots, say between 150 and 300 yards out, it costs a golfer an average penalty of 0.6 strokes compared to the fairway. It shows just how punishing a really bad shot is.
So we've established that the long game is the dominant differentiator. So now we can finally apply this rigorous data to the player who defined dominance.
Tiger Woods.
Specifically during that 2003 to 2010 period.
When you look at the raw strokes gain numbers for Tiger then, they're almost unbelievable.
How good are we talking?
Woods' total scoring advantage was 3.20 strokes per round, better than the average tournament field.
Wait, 3.2 strokes per round?
Per round. Think about that. He was effectively starting every single tournament 3 shots ahead of his competition. It's just an unprecedented level of separation.
Okay, let's break that down. Where did that staggering 3.2 stroke advantage actually come from?
Well, the majority came from exactly where the data predicted it would, the long game. Tiger gained 2.08 strokes just from his long game. That's 65% of his total advantage, and it ranked him #1 on tour.
Okay, what about the rest?
He gained 0.70 strokes from putting, which ranked him 3rd, and then only 0.42 strokes came from his short game.
His short game only ranked him 16th.
16th on tour.
That is the most counterintuitive thing I have ever heard. Tiger Woods is maybe the most famous clutch putter in history.
Yeah.
We can all picture those incredible putts to win majors.
I know.
And the data says his putting wasn't even close to his biggest advantage.
It's the single biggest correction to the historical story. Yes, his putting was legendary, but mathematically, his true overwhelming advantage was his ball striking.
Give me a specific number on that.
Okay, get this. His .70 strokes gained from putting was actually less than the 1.01 strokes he gained just from approach shots between 150 and 250 yards.
So it wasn't just about saving par with a miracle putt.
No.
It was his long game that consistently put him so much closer to the hole than everyone else, leaving him with easier putts to begin with.
That is exactly what strokes gained proves. His putting stats looked amazing, because his long game meant he was putting from closer than everybody else all the time. The foundation of his dominance was the long game.
This quantitative analysis is so powerful, but we can't ignore the historical metric that defines this whole debate.
The majors.
Major championships. Let's frame the Grand Slam so we understand the weight of those 18 versus 15 wins.
Right. So the term Grand Slam has kind of evolved. It started in 1930 with Bobby Jones, but his 4 majors actually included 2 amateur titles.
But today, the modern men's Grand Slam is the 4 professional majors. The Masters, PGA Championship, US Open, and the Open Championship.
And winning all 4 in one calendar year. No one has ever done it. It's still the ultimate prize.
But we do have the career Grand Slam.
Right, winning all 4 at some point in your career. Only 6 men have done that.
Sarazen, Hogan, Player, Nicklaus, Woods, and McIlroy.
And what's amazing is that both Nicklaus and Woods have done it 3 times over.
And then there's the one thing that Woods has that no one else does, the Tiger Slam.
Which was just a singular achievement, holding all 4 modern major titles at the same time.
Consecutively, from the 2000 US Open through the 2001 Masters.
It wasn't in one calendar year, but holding all 4 belts at once was just an incredible feat of consistency at the highest level.
Okay, so this brings us to the final showdown. Nicklaus's longevity versus Woods's quantitative dominance. And we have to view this through the era you play in.
Right. And if your definition of the JDS is purely about sustained excellence, raw totals, Nicklaus is the guy. It's undeniable.
Beyond the 18 wins.
Beyond the 18 wins, he had 19 major runner-up finishes. 19!
That's a record.
He had 37 top 2 finishes. That is 15 more than anyone else in history. 55 top 5s. Nicklaus didn't just win, he was just always there for decades.
It is an unbelievable case for persistence. But the case for Woods is all about the difficulty he faced and the statistical chasm he opened over his peers.
And those dominance metrics are just staggering. Since he turned pro in '96, Tiger won 15 majors.
Right.
That is equal to the next 3 guys combined over that same time: Mickelson, Koepka, and McIlroy.
Wow.
It's just an unheard of concentration of success.
So that translates to his winning percentage, right?
To a historic degree, he won 22.8% of the PGA Tour events he entered, highest in history.
And there's that wild stat.
The stat that says he could lose his next 304 tournaments in a row and still have a higher career winning percentage than Jack Nicklaus.
Let that sink in.
And his consistency, too. That streak of 142 consecutive cuts made from 98 to 2005, it just shattered the old record.
And now we have to talk about the era factor. Because golf is just harder now. The competition is global. The athletes are better.
The depth of competition is the key. The sources show that in Nicklaus's era, 80% of major winners were American.
A more contained field.
Very much so. In Woods' era, only 58% of major winners were American. The talent pool exploded. It went global. He was winning against a bigger, deeper, tougher field.
And he did it while courses were actively being tiger-proofed, right? They were making them longer, specifically to try and neutralize his advantage.
They were. And despite all of that, a tougher field and tougher courses, Woods was actually more efficient in the majors.
How so?
If you measure between their first and last major wins, Woods won 20% of the majors he entered. Nicklaus won 18.75%. So Woods won more often against arguably the strongest talent pool in history.
So after all that, we come back to it. What does the data tell us? Who is the Jake?
It really still comes down to how you weigh the criteria. If your standard is raw, sustained longevity, and total major counts, Nicklaus wins. Those 37 top 2 finishes are almost mythical. But if your criteria is pure dominance, winning efficiency, and just overwhelming statistical superiority, which we can now quantify with strokes gained,
then Tiger Woods wins.
Then Tiger Woods wins. The data proves his superiority was built on a historic mastery of the long game, even as the whole world was trying to take that advantage away from him.
That is the enduring insight of this deep dive. His dominance started over 100 yards from the green.
Exactly.
And that leaves a final provocative thought for you to consider. If we know the long game is the primary variable, what happens to the next generation of champions? What happens when they grow up not just with better technology and athleticism, but with the strokes gained metric itself guiding their every practice session? When they know from day one that their biggest gains will come from those approach shots between 150 and 250 yards, how much more statistically dominant could they become? That is the real evolution of the game we are only just beginning to see.